Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So today for health, we are starting a new unit. We are starting on health and safe relationships. So if you can take out your guided notes that you've been sent throughout the presentation and our PowerPoint, I'd like you to jot down some things that maybe will help you get through the lesson and going back, reviewing, things like that for tests. So what is a healthy relationship? First of all, let's think about what types of relationships we have in our lives, right? We have friends and we work on that relationship. We have relationships with family members, and we have relationships with people in our communities. So school teachers, such as myself, like to build relationships with their students to help really understand them. And with health and my teaching, I really feel like it's pretty personal. There's a lot of things that when I'm teaching health, we can relate to everyday things in our lives. So a relationship is some connection or bond or anything that you have with another person. So again, all those different things that we can see here in our notes. And we're gonna watch this quick video here on building healthy relationships. It's about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes long. So at this point, I would play the video and allow students to have some questions afterwards. So let's go into foundations of a healthy relationship. So being a citizen is someone that is within the community. What's your role? How do you function within your community? Compromising. So compromising is when there's a disagreement or a conflict within your relationship. What is something you can both agree on that may not be one side or the other, but it's somewhere in the middle where you guys both can come up with a great middle of the road solution. So foundations of a healthy relationship are being a good communicator. So being able to tell that person how you feel, what you'd like to do, kind of where you stand, and then time. Any relationship that you have is going to take time and effort, and it's not always going to be easy as well. So the support that you have from parents or other family members or friends in building these relationships is really important. Mutual respect, equality, and fairness. You are generally not any better than the other person you're in a relationship with. So you stand on solid ground together and you have a respect for one another. Also, relationships require honesty and trust. And once those things are broken, you really have to, again, work really hard in these relationships to make them work and to earn that trust and honesty back. So relationships that you have, here we go, in your life. So again, a relationship is a bond or connection that you have with other people. Some of you sitting in this classroom right now may have relationships with other people. They could be not only romantic involvement, but a friendship. There's both. So a lot of times when we hear the word relationship, we always think, oh, that's their boyfriend, that's their girlfriend, that's their husband. That's not always the case. All of these types of relationships, though, have an effect on our health, whether it's good or bad. So, for example, when I was growing up, I had a girlfriend that probably made some really bad choices, according to my mom. And my mom didn't like me hanging out with her that much. So, she was more of a negative relationship that I had in my life. And my mom really didn't want me hanging around with her because of what could happen in the future, right? So positive friendships, I was part of the soccer team at school, and a lot of the girls that I played soccer with were super uplifting and really pushed me to be the best person that I could possibly be, which was great. All three aspects of health that we've previously discussed in other units, your physical, your mental, emotional, and social health, all play a role in the relationships that you have in your life. So family, it's not really a given that family is always a healthy relationship, right? Parents, people who help watch over you, brothers, sisters, aunts and uncles, grandparents, cousins, you name them, they are relationship worthy. So one thing that makes family relationships is that they are always and ever present. Now, whether again they're positive or negative, they're always present. They're there. They don't go away. Parents care for your physical needs. So they help nourish you, they give you clothes, they give you shelter. They love and care for us and support all of our emotions and our mental well-being. They also teach us values that and social skills. How we communicate with other people are generally coming from our parents or our guardians, people that we're with most of the time. Friends, we all have them, right? So most people have friends that are around their age, but it kind of can encompass, 3 or 4 years younger, 3 or 4 years older. I generally, for some reason, tended to have friends that were older than me. And sometimes that goes into our mental health. If we're a little more mature and our thinking is more similar to those that are older, well, then we're going to gravitate towards that, right? So you can choose friends, which is the greatest thing. Family, we can't really choose. We're born into that, right? Friends, we get to pick them. And through our fostering with our parents and our guardians, they really help us make good choices on what kind of friends we choose. A friendship is a relationship between two people that is based on trust, consideration, and caring. They're very caring, right? So people that we choose to be friends with share similar interests. So for me, in my examples, and I want you guys to really think about who your friends are and kind of what circles they run in. So my friends were girls on the soccer team, people that I was in chorus with, science club, ski club, any kind of extracurricular activities that you do. They could be people in your neighborhood that that you kind of go and hang out with and pal around with. They could be people at your job. A lot of you are starting to work now, so they become friends because you're with them, a lot of the time. These people help with self-esteem, and hopefully in a healthy and positive friendship, they're helping us resist making bad choices. Community. So I'm part of your community as your teacher. So being part of a strong community has a positive impact on your health. Doing things at the local park, at the local shelter, for certain holidays, and getting involved with the younger kids and what they're doing all promotes healthy behaviors and really provides you resources, because all these people that you're meeting in your community are really going to know who you are and vouch for who you are as a person. Obeying laws, being friendly to neighbors, helping improve the places that you live are all part of your role and your relationship with your community. So let's take a look at this roles in relationships. This is from our textbook, and I'd like you to take your guided notes and just go ahead and flip it over so that you have a blank page. And I'd like you to do a Venn diagram. That is these three circles, but they always have a center that seems to be kind of the same, right? So I want you to think about and draw here at home, at school, and in community. We've kind of briefly just talked about things and roles and how do you fit in, guys? Where do you see yourself? I want you to really reflect on this. Take about 2 minutes and jot some things down. Put yourself in the middle there, and where you see some overlapping, where do you see things happening similar here, right? So take those 2 minutes. I'm going to continue moving on as if I have given students 2 minutes for this. We're going to talk about traits of a healthy relationship. Okay, mutual respect. Again, you're all on the same level ground. You show signs of respect to that other person. You're caring. You worry about their feelings and their well-being. You're honest. There's no lying in friendships or relationships that you have. There's really no benefit to that ever. Being honest and committing to that, to working on that relationship always. So some skills for a healthy relationship. We're talking about interpersonal communication. So feelings and thoughts between one another. Again, we're not talking generally or specifically about a romantic relationship. We're thinking about all of our relationships here. Cooperation, which is working together. I know my husband and I have 2 young kids, and at some point you guys all may have families or you have younger siblings. Working together to accomplish a common goal for everyone can be very difficult. So really making sure you're communicating on an appropriate level, depending on your role, is really important. And again, we're talking about our other vocabulary word here. It is on your guided notes, so I want you to be aware of that. It's compromising, just coming up to a good and honest solution for both of you. We're going to go ahead and pass through some character and relationship characters and traits in our relationship. I'm going to pass through that because we've already really talked about it. This is just bullet statement and listed in your notes. And communicating, okay? So when we're communicating in our relationships, we are sometimes discussing about I feel sad. If you say that, it's an I message. It makes you, it's more personal. It's how you feel, okay? Active listening, we talk about that a lot. Maybe some of you aren't doing it. Maybe some of you are right now while you're watching this. Active listening is really paying attention and honing in on that person's facial expressions, which is also body language, okay? And really restating what you're hearing or rewriting it down on your notes right now, which is a really great idea. That lets me know that you're hearing what I'm saying, right? You're effectively listening to the message. Aggressive is loud and forceful and pushy. We try not to communicate that way, but listen, in the heat of the moment, it all happens to the best of us. Passively communicating. You're listening, but not really. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but okay, that's fine. Passive, right? Just kind of pushing it off. And assertive, really being clear with your messages when you're communicating with relationships, standing up for your rights and what you think is the most important parts. Okay, speaking skills and other ways to communicate. We talk about the I message. That is part of your speaking skill. You really want to think before we open our mouths while we're doing this, right? Different ways to communicate are the I and the you messages. I would give students a minute to kind of look over this slide. And also I would give students an opportunity to stop and have these conversations small-sided. In the groups that we have, I would kind of already have broken down these students. So when I say move into your small groups, they already know what we're talking about. And we're practicing you and I messages here at this point of the lesson. While we actively listen, we're paying super close attention, we're not interrupting. We might ask questions for understanding comprehension at this point. And really showing interest, looking someone in the eye is very important while you're communicating and listening. So nonverbal communication, we're talking about the use of body language. So when someone's smiling and they're so excited to tell you something, that normally means it's something positive, right? And arms across the chest here, as you can see in that picture, and the other person kind of pointing towards them. And there's no eye communication there either, right? So that's kind of being talked down to, not ideal. So as we've gone through our whole lesson, I feel I would take a little bit more time in slowing down with some of these things and asking some questions in between. But at the end of our lesson and in our notes, we have our brain check. So I would just give students the remainder of class to finish this. Wouldn't take too long at all to complete these items. And I'd really like to see students checking for understanding by returning that Venn diagram as part of a homework assignment for students so that I really know that, hey, they got what I was saying in this lesson. To wrap up, I would say that this is grade level high school, 9 through 12. It's applicable for 9 through 12. State standards is strand 4, standard 1, 4-1. And knowing if my students were able to understand this, I would definitely want to see their brain check or their Venn diagram to really see how it's coming together. Giving it as a homework assignment or finishing off at the end of class, I think would give students ample time that need extra time for reading or comprehension. And for students with IEPs, I think that that's great that they have a little extra time to kind of go through and really process what was being spoken to them. My go ahead and you do this would be my brain check and my Venn diagram from during the class. And I would really think that in a normal class setting or in a normal online setting here, there would be a lot of communication back and forth, whether it's in a chat pod, when they're asking questions or communicating, to really hone in on this is our example of nonverbal, and really to give examples.